Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wub194. I hope you're doing well today. I have a book review here for a manga that I picked up last week with my wife last Saturday, and it's a book that I was not too curious about what it was going to be like because I love the title character, at least in movie form and some old classic comic sense, but I had my complaints, I had my worries, and after reading Batman Justice Buster Volume 1 from DC in a manga adaptation, I was not excited for this, but I decided to go ahead and pick it up. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think it's one of the best books I've ever read. Probably my best book I've read this year at this point. It's called Spider-Man Fake Red from Yusuke Osawa. And I'm going to tell you, from the cover alone, I was not too thrilled because the cover itself doesn't really impress me all that much. This Spider-Man has a white emblem on his chest. He looks a lot like the PS4 Spider-Man. I heard in rumors that he is possibly tied to the PS4 Spider-Man. I'm not sure if that's true or not. And Venom here in the book, when you actually see him on the page and splash pages and stuff, he looks more like the Tom Hardy Venom without the bat on his chest and everything. Or spider, whatever that's supposed to be. You got Scorpion back here, you got a pink Silver Surfer chick, who is not the Silver Surfer, just so you know. I actually don't mind her and the kind of commentary they build around her. Yusuke Osawa, in this standalone volume that was a 14-chapter division, whatever, it's now a 350-page book, something like that. This series got canceled, and I am so sad about that because of how amazing this was. Apparently in the author's note in the back of the book, he says that if it had taken off and continues to sell well in America, in the paperback forms like this, that he could possibly get it off the ground again and get it a reboot of some sort. And I hope to God that happens. If you have not read Spider-Man Fake Red, and let's say you happen to be a real big Spider-Man fan, comic-wise, movie-wise, video game-wise, whatever we're talking about, you owe it to yourself to read this incredible book. I loved everything about it. Now let me give you a caveat real quick of me. My favorite rendition of Spider-Man of all time in live action is Andrew Garfield, followed up with Tobey Maguire. I love both of them. They are Spider-Man. I do not think Tom Holland is casted well as a Spider-Man. Nor do I think the Peter they write for those films for the MCU is a good Peter Parker. I don't even think it's Peter Parker in the tone or anything. Not Tom Holland's fault, but overall, not a fan. When it comes to comics, I don't think anybody gets Peter as well as Stan Lee did. Stan Lee understood to get Spider-Man, you have to understand Peter Parker, the voice of that character, the relatability of the struggles that he faces. You have to get that right, and if you don't do it right, you don't understand the character. You don't get it. You can't perform that well. And it's a shame, because the animated series from the 90s gets it 100%. It gets the show, it gets the character, it gets the tone of the comics, it improves upon all of that, in my personal opinion. But this book, most of the time, comics that are not written by Stan Lee when it comes to Spider-Man, they don't get it. They can improve Thor sometimes, they can improve Hulk sometimes, with people like Peter David, for example. But when you have most people in modern-day Marvel, or anybody who's not Stan Lee, whether it be the small amount of comics I've read from the 80s or the 70s or the 90s, most of the time people don't get Peter and they can't pull off the story they're trying to pull off because they don't get this character. Yusuke Osawa got Peter so well, and this book is not even focused on Peter. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and start transitioning into the plot here. We follow a character, a young high school student, by the way, named Y.U. And he has a crush on a girl named Emma, who he knows from school. He's a big rock climber. He loves to do that kind of thing. And he has an obsession with Spider-Man. He's a hardcore fan. He loves this guy that he reads about online and sees videos of. I assume he also lives in New York City, by the way, because one day after watching another kid named Toby, which I assume is a reference to Tobey Maguire, matter of fact, he watches a kid get beat up named Toby by some bullies, and he doesn't help. And it's kind of a throwback to Spider-Man and the burglar robber thing that killed Uncle Ben. But not completely. Nobody dies in that situation. But he happens to be walking down through an alley, and behind a dumpster he finds a Spider-Man costume. He assumes it's fan-made at first, and it turns out it has real web shooters. It fits him almost perfect. It's not as tight on him, I guess, because he's not as muscular as Spider-Man is. But he takes it home with him just to, see what he can do, and he realizes, hey, this might be the OG real thing because of the web shooters. And he begins to find himself caught up in a situation where people think that he might be Spider-Man, like his crush Emma, And he has to do what he can to try to maintain the Spider-Man legacy, but also try to get this costume back to Peter Parker, who is currently missing. Nobody knows he's Spider-Man, of course, except for Mary Jane. And Mary Jane and Aunt May make little appearances here and there, not really connected to our main character, you, but they show up in little other segments where they're meeting up or whatever. But nobody knows where Peter Parker is. And I will tell you, this book does a lot with the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery when you see them. It does great adaptations of a lot of those characters, some who are not on the cover. That might sound like a lot, because in 350 pages to have so many Rogues Galleries, including Venom, Scorpion, and this pink chick, who I assume is a new creation, I could be wrong about that, as well as many others that you will know if you're a big Spider-Man fan. Even if you've only seen the movies, you probably know about a lot of these characters. It gets all of them right. It gets the designs and the new designs that he developed. Yusuke Osawa developed and drew for them. He gets them 100%, dude. Even though this book isn't about Peter Parker, it understands the responsibility and the power of this character, the legacy of this character, and how it needs to preserve that. And let me tell you, what they did with Venom in here, I'm a diehard Venom fan, as you can see. I've read most, if not almost all, Venom stuff, and I will tell you, aside from the modern Venom stuff, they do Venom wrong a lot in the comics. I usually like movie adaptations of him, aside from Topher Grace. But let me tell you, dude, the version of Venom that we got here is the most obvious thing that should have been done by this point in comics, and as far as I know, it never has been. It was such a unique idea that I think is completely owned by Spider-Man Fake Red, and probably eventually, when this is discovered by the wackos who write comics nowadays for Marvel, they will steal this idea and try to make it their own in a terrible way, and it's gonna suck. But the people who don't know about this because they don't check out the manga section, they don't realize what they're missing out on, especially you big Spider-Man fans out there. People like me who wanted the preservation of Peter Parker's voice, this admiration that we fans have for this character, they're all in this character, you, and how much he admires Spider-Man and wants to be like him and is encouraged by him the way a lot of us are by Batman, Superman, in this case, Spider-Man. It gets all of that perfectly. It understands the Spider-Man cowl and what that is and how important this is without even knowing who Peter Parker is. It gets all of that. And watching you have to become a hero to maintain Spider-Man's reputation, but also to just do the right thing, to become a better man and a better person in general. This is so emotionally engaging. If you don't read this and have moments where you just feel a sadness or a lightheartedness or a happiness or a joy or anything like that, I don't know what to tell you. You're not human. This book gets all of that 1000% right in the best possible way, and it's so engaging for all of that too. Plus, it has some incredible artwork. Here is the front of the book here. By the way, of course, manga is typically in black and white, but every once in a while you get a very important page in color in here. Looking at this rain and looking at Peter just chilling out in his costume in the rain by himself. Dude, I just love this book. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. 350 pages, one of the best Spider-Man books ever put out, easily. Not even expensive either, because most of it's in black and white. The art style is great, like I said. I don't really think I have anything else to say about the book. It is just, from beginning to end, probably in the top 5, top 3 even Spider-Man books I've ever read in my life when it's tied to Peter. And it's still kind of a spin-off story, but it respects the Spider-Man fans and the old lore so much. There's so many references to like the Avengers and Amazing Fantasy 15, which would be the obvious thing to reference. There's so much of that in here, but it's in clever ways. They even have like a part of the back of the book that has references listed about chapters and pages and all of that, about what this is referencing to this. That's really cool to me, in my opinion. Spider-Man Fake Red is just everything you could want out of a Spider-Man book. It's everything you could want out of a Peter Parker story. Not like a Spider-Man Noir spinoff, which is one of my personal favorites too, or Spider-Man 2099 spinoffs, which I typically love too. That kind of stuff is good in its own way as a spinoff. But when we talk about something taking place in the world of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, this is one of the best ever. When people talk about the PS4 Spider-Man, which I've never played, by the way, when they talk about the Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s that I grew up on, when we talk about those things, this is the kind of thing that fits in with that stuff. And again, there's so many unique, wonderfully executed ideas in here. Yusuke Yusuke Osawa. I cannot pronounce the poor guy's name. He is an absolute legend, man. He just killed this book. It was absolutely wonderful. Anyway, Spider-Man Fake Red, if you have not read this, please, for the love of God, take my long-ass, rambling review where I've just raved about this. Please take this review and go find a copy and read it. I'm telling you, you will love it. There is no volume 2. It's a canceled book. This is it. This whole story is contained right here, and it's a shame, frankly. It should have been longer than that. It just didn't sell well in Japan. It's been canceled for a few years now. But it's just now getting to America in the last year or so. And dude, I'm so sad that no one talked about this. I've never heard about this book until I saw it at Barnes & Noble. And I'm so glad I got a chance to pick this up and read it because it is just magnificent. After this week and the things with Akira Toriyama passing away, the creator of Dragon Ball, it's been a rough week. And reading this, it kind of fit into that mindset for me with Akira Toriyama as well and how much I love that man. Dude, this was so good. If you haven't read Spider-Man Fake Red, please check it out. Like I said, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would easily give this a 5 out of 5 stars. Everything about it is masterful. Everything, the writing, the art, all of it. It is magnificent, and you owe it to yourself to check it out. Anyway, have you read Spider-Man Fake Red? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear everything you have to say about this awesome little book down in the comments section down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. Would you put this in your top 5? If not that, top 10, it has to be. I can't see this being a big Spider-Man fan's kind of unappealing interest. It's just too damn good. I don't think you understand how good this book was. When people talk about Ultimate Spider-Man, which I've not read much of, but when they talk about that and rave about it, this is how I feel about this book. You know, it's just, I couldn't see my life without this book now. Anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.